So good evening, my dear comrades. And the reason that I say comrades is because I want to build a community of unity amongst the people that I'm talking to. So I want y'all to take 3 seconds to look around this space and analyze the different spaces and bodies and people that you see around you. Just take 3 seconds to take it in. I want to see everybody looking around. Cool. The reason that I asked you all to do this is because for me, from this space, from where I'm standing right now, it's moving to see such a multitude of faces coming from all walks of life to stand in solidarity and power in the name of liberation. I want to begin by saying how overwhelmingly groundbreaking it is for all of us to be here in this space right now. Our coexisting as one force, one community, one tribe in this moment here right now is resilience within itself. It is resilience within itself. Because none of us had to step out today knowing the potentially deadly consequences of our being here tonight. Knowing that there are pigs, and I'm talking about the BPD, let me make that very fucking clear, who are pawns of a historically oppressive regime that tend to be quick with the trigger, heavy with the baton, and delayed with the humanization of people that come out only shielded with shaking voices, cardboard signs, and nothing left to lose. I mean, look at us. Look at us. But tonight, each and every single one of us have chosen to be fearless. We have chosen to be warriors because that is exactly what we are, my dear comrades. We do not shrivel in the face of the opposition, but jump at the chance to run them down. Because we are a generation and a people that do not let up at whatever crumbs the oppressor decides to say is enough for us. We dictate our freedom. We dictate when enough is enough. We dictate when the battle for equity is won. And we as comrades, as warriors, as militants, as fighters within this revolution, we understand that this battle is nowhere near over. Chosen to make the commitment to be here today at 8:48 p.m. on a Wednesday night, the day after this country's sham of a democratic election. Sorry to say, liberals, sorry to the centrists, and sorry to the extremists in this group, but we are not fucking finished. And apologies, excuse my French, but I'm not here to be your friendly, quiet black girl. I'm not here to be respectable. In a city as centrist and as neoliberal as Boston, it's easy to be disillusioned by the false promises and hopes of progress. Let me progress, you saw the quotation marks on my hands, and change under a stagnant but similarly destructive democratic reign.
If you believe the system needs some fixing, make some noise. And finally, if you believe in community and uplifting those around you in tragic times, make some noise. Okay, so we have a collective of amazing speakers from different organizations throughout the city and the state. Before we get into that, we must pay homage to the land that we're standing on. We must. I'm not the person, though, to do that. So, we're going to bring up my friend right here, and he is going to give the land acknowledgement. So I need everybody to make some noise for NACOB, which is the Native American Institute of Boston, y'all. Make some noise, make some noise, make some noise! He's not going to come up here until he gets some noise! Make some noise! Jean-Luc, thank you, sir.
Before I introduce myself, as is our practice at the North American Indian Center of Boston, we want to take this time to recognize the land on which we stand, the land which holds us, the land which sustains us. I want to acknowledge this. Boston, what we call Boston today, is the traditional indigenous territory of the Massachusetts nation, who continue to this day, through their lineal descendants, the Massachusetts tribe at Palkapog. And in doing this, we are positioning ourselves, all of ourselves, as guests of our host tribe. And I want you all to hold in your minds and in your hearts what it means to be a good guest. Think about going to your grandmother's house. Think about what it means to be a good guest in a space that holds and protects and sustains you. What are the promises that you are going to make in your hearts for this host tribe? Will you join with NACOB in supporting every effort by our host tribe to make sure of the rematriation of the land and natural resources back to the original peoples? Is that something that you promise? Shimmy, do they promise? I don't think. Shimmy doesn't think y'all promise loud enough. Promise! One more time, one more time.
Your promise.
My name is Jean-Luc Parit. I'm originally from New Orleans. I'm a member of the Tunica Biloxi tribe of Louisiana. And here in Boston, I serve as the president of the board of directors at the North American Indian Center of Boston. And like many of you, I haven't gotten a lot of sleep since last night. Like many of you, my eyes are tired, my body is tired, my mind is tired by this constant tirades and this back and forth, and the realization that no matter what happens this week, the good guys did not win. Many of us are asking ourselves, when are we going to return back to normal? Our international partners, European nations, nations all over, the United Nations are looking to America right now in this mythology of American exceptionalism to understand, when are we going to return back to normal? And in this time of unsurety, on top of a time of unsurety of the pandemic, all I have to ask is, how much time do you have to wait? Hours, days, weeks, months, years? Why don't you ask the Taino and the Arawak, whose land was invaded in 1492, and then in 1493, it was the Roman Catholic Church that enacted the doctrine of discovery, that laid out a path for European nations, Christian European nations, to pillage, to extract, to take from black and indigenous peoples worldwide. Why don't we ask the men and women who were trafficked from Angola to these shores in 1619 to Jamestown, to the traditional territory of the Powhatan, 2 years after the death of the native woman who we now commonly know as Pocahontas? Why don't we ask these people? Why don't we ask the Wampanoag and all the tribes in their confederacy who next year will observe the 400th anniversary of the Treaty of Massasoit, which started government-to-government relationships between indigenous nations and the peoples that would become the United States of America, who lived in a so-called 50-year period of peace until wars of resistance were fought on this land, most especially King Philip's War 345 years ago, in which all American Indians in the proximity of Boston were interned. They were rounded up and left to die on the Boston Harbor Islands, where their graves are today. Why don't we ask the Lakota, the men, the women, the children who were murdered by the American military under President Benjamin Harrison at the massacre of Wounded Knee? And then it was that same president who led a marketing campaign in which he established the national observance of Christopher Columbus Day, a day in which every public school had an American flag installed, and children for the first time recited a poem which was conceived right there on Columbus Avenue, the Pledge of Allegiance. Why don't we ask all of our ancestors, our elders, who fought for over 100 years just to participate in this democratic experiment, voting rights which were not granted to our people until the 70s? And why don't we ask our children who are going to public schools in which they are learning about all this colonialism at 3rd or 4th grade levels, just when they are about to learn how to point to countries on a map, they are also expected to trace with those same fingers the ships that came from Europe to here to rob and pillage their own ancestors. And when you get into high school in these public schools in Massachusetts, they start off with the American Civil War, skipping 150 years of genocide and slave trade. Indigenous peoples have been waiting for things to return to normal for over 500 years. Black and indigenous peoples have been waiting for things to return to normal for over 500 years. And so tonight, we are joining with the Freedom Fighters Coalition to demand that the children that are learning about colonialism at 3rd or 4th grade, those same children will go to school and learn that the impacts of climate change are directly tied to the legacy of white supremacy. They need to learn that science. We are here to demand that there is no environmental justice without black and indigenous peoples. And we are here to demand that Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Ed Markey, you know, everybody that's an agent of this United States government, they understand what it is to be a good guest and uphold the promises that this country has made with the original peoples. When I say the people united, you say we'll never be defeated. The people united
will never be defeated.
The people united
Will never be defeated.
The people united
Will never be defeated.
Thank you.
Can y'all make some more noise for that gentleman right there? It takes a lot to come up here during these times to speak in front of strangers. So y'all need to make some more noise for him, please.